Imagine for a second just holding a heavy, faceted stone in your hand
Oh, yeah.
and genuinely believing, like down to your very core, that this physical object is acting as a literal firewall against your coworker's toxic mood.
Oh, man. That would be nice.
Right. Or picture drawing yourself a salt bath on a Tuesday night, not just as a way to, relax your aching muscles, but as a mandatory aggressive scrub down for your invisible energetic anatomy.
A mandatory scrub down. I like that phrasing.
Yeah, because in a culture that is just completely obsessed with optimizing our physical machines, I mean, we track our sleep cycles, we measure our macros, we have maintenance schedules for our cars and our coffee
Dang, we
makers.
optimize everything.
We do. But we rarely, if ever, talk about maintaining the invisible architecture of our daily experience. But what if you actually had, like, a dashboard light that flashed when your internal energy field was clogged?
That is the exact paradigm we are exploring today. We're looking at a highly structured framework that treats human energy, focus, and, well, spiritual well-being as a system requiring deliberate daily mechanical maintenance.
Just like the physical body.
Exactly. It is an approach where unseen forces are treated with the exact same pragmatism as changing a dirty air filter in your house.
And to explore the mechanics of that system, we are bringing you along on a very special deep dive today. It is really great to have you with us.
Glad to be here for this one.
Our mission for this session is to completely unpack the May 2026 edition of the Crystals by Rob newsletter. This operation is based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, but they ship their tools worldwide.
And tools is definitely the right word there.
Totally. I say tools intentionally because this newsletter is far from a standard retail catalog.
Oh, yeah.
Let's unpack this. It operates essentially as a comprehensive technical manual.
It really does.
It's a manual for how modern practitioners navigate the intersection of physical geology, macroscopic astrological timing, and the microscopic fluctuations of human energy.
It provides this remarkable window into the literal mechanics of the practice. And for you, listening, who likely already follows the broader conversations happening in the wellness and metaphysical space, our goal today is to go far beyond the surface-level aesthetics.
We're going deep.
We are. We are going to decode the specific theoretical physics and the underlying philosophy driving Rob's practice. We're not just looking at what these stones are, we're interrogating the why and the how behind their application in this specific ecosystem.
Yes, and to ground that philosophy immediately, the newsletter opens by spotlighting what Rob calls the crown jewel of their current collection.
The Titan Crown Amethyst.
The Titan Crown Amethyst. The physical description alone is just incredibly striking. Sourced from Brazil, this is not, it's not your typical translucent lavender amethyst that you see in gift shops.
Right, it's much heavier.
Yeah, we are talking about deep, opaque purples intertwined with almost aggressive reddish hues. The newsletter highlights these unique internal inclusions that give the stone this staggering visual depth.
It's a very intense-looking object.
It is. Holding one sounds akin to holding a tiny frozen cosmos, like a miniature galaxy suspended in quartz, right in the palm of your hand.
And that visual density, that's a key indicator of its proposed function. In this specific ecosystem, a crystal is never viewed merely as a decorative object.
Never.
It's a highly specialized piece of technology. Historically, amethyst is regarded in these communities as a master healing stone. It serves as a functional bridge between dense physical reality and higher spiritual frequencies.
And the specific variety.
Right. This specific Titan Crown variety, however, is presented as carrying that ancestral baseline power, but amplified to a significant degree due to its unique geological formation.
And this is where we get into the highly specific operational instructions, because Rob suggests placing a Titan Crown Amethyst tower on an altar, a workspace, or a bedside table to actively quiet mental chatter.
Which sounds pretty standard, honestly.
Yeah, it does, but there is one instruction that I really have to push back on. The newsletter states that during active energy work or meditation, you must hold this specific stone in your left hand.
Oh, yes. The left-hand rule.
I need to challenge this rigidity. I mean, is this meant to be a literal directional electrical current flowing through the body? Or is holding it in a specific hand just a psychological anchor to help the practitioner focus? Because demanding the left hand feels almost, unnecessarily theatrical.
What's fascinating here is that within the internal logic of esoteric anatomy, it is viewed as a literal circuitry system, not just a mental trigger.
Wait, really? A literal circuit?
Yes. The newsletter explicitly designates the left hand as the receiving hand. If we look at traditional Ayurvedic or yogic frameworks, which heavily influence modern crystal practices, the left side of the human body is the intake valve
The intake valve for what exactly?
for external energy, what you might call prana or chi. The right side is the projector, the exhaust pipe, pushing your personal energy out into the world.
So by placing the Titan Crown Amethyst in the left hand, you are essentially plugging it directly into the input channel.
Precisely. You are plugging it in. And if we connect this to the stone's primary target, which Rob notes is a strong resonance with the crown chakra, or Sahasrara, the mechanism becomes perfectly clear.
Can you break that down for us?
Sure. For those visualizing this, the crown chakra is understood as the energetic aperture situated at the very top of the head. It acts as the central regulator for higher consciousness and intuitive clarity.
Okay, I follow.
So you don't want to project that high-frequency cosmic energy outward through your right hand. You want to draw it inward through the left, allowing it to travel up the arm and flood that central aperture at the crown. Form perfectly follows function.
Wow, okay, I see the logic there. It really does operate like a closed-loop electrical circuit.
Exactly.
The left hand operates as the physical intake valve for the high-frequency vibration of the amethyst, funneling it straight to the crown. But that raises an immediate mechanical question for me.
Well-
If the left hand is pulling all this energy inward, where does it actually go? Like, what is the containment system for all this high-frequency vibration?
That is the million-dollar question.
And that brings us to the core diagnostic section of Rob's newsletter, focusing on the human energy field itself, the aura.
Right. And this represents a critical shift in the text. We move from analyzing the external hardware, the crystal, to the internal operating system of the practitioner.
The software, basically.
Yeah, exactly. The newsletter states a core tenet quite clearly. It says, your aura is your energetic fingerprint. When it's clear, everything flows. When it's not, you feel it.
And Rob provides a very grounded diagnostic checklist for when that system is failing, which I loved because the symptoms associated with a heavy, cluttered aura don't sound mystical at all.
No, they don't.
They sound like modern burnout. The list includes unexplained chronic fatigue, profound emotional exhaustion specifically after being in crowds, persistent mental fog, a generalized feeling of being off without a medical cause, and an inability to manifest goals or maintain focus.
Sounds like half the people I know.
Honestly, yeah. So what does this all mean? How does this aura actually function, mechanically speaking, to produce symptoms that mimic clinical exhaustion?
To understand the mechanism, we have to define what the aura is within this framework. It is not just a glowing halo you see in Renaissance paintings.
Right.
The newsletter describes the aura as a complex, multi-layered electromagnetic bubble emanating from what practitioners call the etheric body.
The etheric body.
Yes, the etheric body is believed to be the subtle, energetic blueprint or scaffolding that sits just underneath and intertwines with our physical biology. This outer bubble serves a dual, almost contradictory purpose.
How so?
Well, it is both a sponge and a shield.
Man, that sounds exhausting for the system. As you walk through a busy city or sit in a tense office meeting, this energetic bubble is constantly interfacing with the environment. It's just absorbing all the ambient friction.
Exactly the concept. It absorbs energetic debris.
So it's taking on the weight of the room.
Yes. If someone directs anger at you, or if you spend 8 hours in a windowless room humming with fluorescent lights and baseline anxiety, your sponge soaks that up. Over time, that debris creates blockages in the etheric scaffolding.
And then that trickles down.
It trickles down to manifest as physical fatigue and mental fog in the biological body.
It is the ultimate HVAC analogy.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. If you never swap out the air filter in your house, it eventually becomes choked with dust, pet hair, and pollutants. The air conditioning unit has to work twice as hard to push a fraction of the air through the vents, and the entire house feels stale and sluggish.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. The system becomes choked.
Yeah.
And this is why Rob explicitly frames aura cleansing not as some luxurious occasional spa treatment, but as mandatory, non-negotiable hygiene.
Yeah, the newsletter uses a brilliant phrase calling it brushing your teeth, but for your energy body.
It's so simple, but it works perfectly.
Brushing your teeth, but for your energy body. It completely strips away the mystical intimidation and frames it as daily maintenance. To address this, Rob outlines a highly specific 4-step cleansing protocol.
And it is a very structured protocol.
Extremely. Looking at the steps, it is clearly a progressive mechanical sequence.
Yeah.
Step 1 is crystal therapy. But you don't just throw a handful of rocks at your chest.
No, definitely not.
It is a targeted three-part operation. First, you use selenite, which is described as sweeping or combing through the auric layers. Next, black tourmaline is applied for structural grounding. Finally, amethyst is brought in for realignment.
Notice the physics of that sequence. It's fascinating. Selenite is a crystallized form of gypsum, and it grows in these long striated fibers.
They almost look like optical cables or something.
Yes, and in this practice, it literally functions as a metaphysical comb, breaking up the dense clumps of stagnant energy we just talked about.
So it's untangling the mess.
Exactly. And once the debris is broken up, the black tourmaline, a dense, iron-rich stone, acts as the grounding wire, pulling the loose debris down and out of the field.
Like a vacuum.
Basically.
Yeah.
And only when the space is cleared and grounded do you introduce the amethyst to retune the frequency of the clean space.
So the order of operations is vital. You can't retune the frequency if the filter is still clogged.
Precisely.
Moving to step 2, we introduce sacred smoke, specifically utilizing dragon's blood, frankincense, sandalwood, or cedar. The stated mechanism here isn't just about creating a pleasant aroma. Rob notes it is specifically for clearing negative ions from the energy field.
Right.
Can we break down the supposed physics of that? Like, how does smoke actually clear an energetic field?
In metaphysical frameworks, the burning of specific high-resonance plant resins releases complex molecular compounds into the air.
Okay.
The belief is that these smoke particles physically bind to the stagnant electromagnetic fields, those heavy, dense clumps of energy we mentioned, and neutralize their charge.
Interesting.
It is essentially using a chemical reaction in the air to alter the ambient frequency of the room and the practitioner's immediate bubble.
Which leads perfectly into step 3, moving from the air to water ritual salt baths.
A classic.
This involves using heavy concentrations of sea salt and Epsom salt, enhanced with lavender or frankincense oil. The newsletter states this literally draws heavy energy out of the etheric body. This feels like the most somatic, physical step of the entire process.
It absolutely is, and it relies heavily on the principle of osmosis.
Osmosis, like from high school biology.
Exactly like that. Just as salt draws moisture out of a physical cell, the crystalline structure of the salt in the water is believed to exert a magnetic pull on the etheric body.
Pulling out the bad stuff.
Yes, drawing out the toxins and the stress that the smoke and the selenite comb dislodged earlier. The heat of the water and the olfactory trigger of the oils anger the practitioner deeply in their physical senses.
Grounding them.
Right. It creates a powerful bridge between the invisible energy work and tangible bodily sensation.
And finally, step 4 demands active participation, visualization, and light work. You are instructed to actively visualize a golden white light sealing the auric egg, repairing any microscopic leaks in the boundary, and restoring its natural radiance.
Which takes a lot of focus.
It does. But, and this is a crucial pivot in the newsletter, Rob acknowledges that if your aura is deeply compromised, like if you are trapped in that profound chronic fatigue, you might not have the baseline battery power to execute a 4-step visualization protocol.
You're just too exhausted to do the work.
Exactly. For those cases, Rob offers booking an aura cleansing session, or fascinatingly, a distant healing via an aura balancing crystal grid.
And that inclusion of distant healing introduces a whole layer of quantum mechanics into their operating philosophy.
So.
It implies that this energetic network is entirely non-local. It is not bound by physical proximity.
Oh, okay, wrap my head around that.
Basically, Rob can construct a mathematically precise crystal grid in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And through intention and frequency matching, that grid can theoretically interface with the auric field of a client sitting in a living room in Tokyo.
That is wild. It operates on the theory of quantum entanglement, where two particles can affect each other instantaneously, regardless of the physical distance between them.
Exactly. It is a wildly expansive view of human connection.
So let's assume the maintenance is complete. The aura is swept, the leaks are patched with golden light, and the underlying etheric body is humming efficiently. Now what? You aren't just maintaining a clean engine to leave the car in the garage.
Right, you want to drive it.
Exactly. And this brings us to the new arrivals section of the shop, which serves as the specialized toolkit for directing this newly cleared energy.
Once your baseline is stable, you transition from defense to offense. You begin introducing highly specific geometries and frequencies to execute targeted intentions.
And looking at this fresh catalog, I want to bypass a few of the standard pieces and look at 3 specific tools that highlight exactly how form dictates function in Rob's practice.
Let's do it.
First, let's look at the indigo gabbro spheres, which the community often refers to as mystic merlinite. Rob explicitly notes they only have 4 of these available, and they are designated heavily for shadow work and psychic development.
Very specialized.
Very. Second, we have the Inca Jade Message Wand, described as a rare, highly intentional tool for directed energy. And third, the included Lemurian quartz points.
Odd Lemurian quartz.
Yeah. For listeners familiar with the lore, these are said to carry ancient Lemurian energy with extra-dimensional inclusions. Let's pause on that last one, because Lemurian energy is a massive concept.
It really is a foundational piece of modern crystal lore. Lemuria is a theoretical, mythical lost continent, often conceptualized as predating or existing alongside Atlantis.
Okay, setting the scene.
Right. In metaphysical traditions, the Lemurians were believed to be a civilization hyper-attuned to spiritual technology. Before their civilization fell, the lore suggests they encoded their vast energetic knowledge into specific quartz formations.
So, wait, they used crystals as hard drives?
Yes. So when Rob describes a Lemurian quartz point with extra-dimensional inclusions, they aren't just selling a pretty rock. They are offering what practitioners view as a physical flash drive.
A flash drive. That's incredible.
Containing ancient, higher-dimensional data just waiting to be downloaded by a clear aura.
A metaphysical flash drive. That framing completely changes how a practitioner would interact with the object. But looking at these 3 tools, the Gabbro Sphere, the Jade Wand, and the Lemurian Point, I have a mechanical question about the geometry.
Sure.
Why does the shape of the stone matter so deeply? Could I achieve the exact same shadow work or energy direction using just a jagged chunk of asphalt I found in a parking lot, assuming my intention was strong enough?
I love that question. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of internal energetic physics, the shape is not arbitrary. It is the delivery mechanism.
Like delivery mechanism, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
The physical geometry of the crystal lattice dictates how the frequency behaves as it exits the stone. Take the Inca Jade Message Wand. A wand is linear, terminating at a sharp point.
Right.
It functions precisely like a laser beam, condensing and accelerating energy to a highly specific focal point. If you were trying to pierce through a stubborn energetic block in a specific chakra, you need a laser.
That makes total sense. And the Gabbro spheres.
A sphere operates on the exact opposite physical principle. It radiates energy symmetrically and evenly in a 360-degree field.
Like a light bulb.
Exactly. It creates an environment, a generalized, localized atmosphere. Rob prescribes the Gabbro sphere for shadow work, this psychological process of exploring the hidden, often painful or repressed parts of the subconscious.
That sounds intense.
It is. And you absolutely do not want to point a high-intensity laser beam at your deepest traumas.
Ouch. Yeah, no.
You want a sphere that creates a supportive, all-encompassing energetic womb that allows those shadows to surface safely and evenly. The physical geometry is essentially a metaphor made manifest.
The structural physics dictate the energetic application. A point directs, a sphere radiates. I love how methodical this is.
It's a very logical system once you learn the rules.
It is. So we have built a complete system here. We have the intake valves drawing in energy. We have the auric containment field filtering the debris. And we have these specialized geometric tools executing specific commands.
Right, the full toolkit.
But none of this happens in a vacuum. And that brings us to the final macro-level variable in Rob's newsletter, Navigating External Forces. Rob's blog posts detail how massive astrological events create cosmic weather that slams directly into our personal energy fields.
And this is where the framework scales up from the micro to the macro.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could have a perfectly clean aura and the right geometric tools, but if you step outside into a Category 5 cosmic hurricane, your system is going to be tested.
Exactly. The newsletter flags 2 major events creating that weather right now. First is the pink full moon of 2026, which Rood frames as a massively potent lunar window specifically dialed in for heart expansion and spiritual rebirth.
Okay, good weather.
Yeah, good weather. But the second event is the one that really shifts the paradigm. Rob notes that 2026 is the year of the fire horse in the Eastern zodiac.
Well, the fire horse.
Historically and culturally, the fire horse is notorious. It represents deeply volatile, fast-moving, wildly unpredictable, and intense transformative energy. It is chaotic heat.
It's a lot to handle.
It's a ton. And here's where it gets really interesting. Rob doesn't tell their readers to hide from this chaos. They introduce a targeted strategy called crystalline remediation.
Which is brilliant because this raises an important question, perhaps the most important question in modern astrology, which is the balance of agency versus fatalism.
Agency versus fatalism.
Right. Historically, when people face a volatile astrological year like the fire horse, the default posture is defensive. People assume they are passive victims of the cosmos, bracing for impact and just hoping to survive the turbulence.
Right, the instinct is to, like, lock the doors, hide in the basement, and wait out the storm.
Precisely. But crystalline remediation aggressively rejects that victimhood.
I love that.
Rob is analyzing the intense mechanics of the fire horse to provide an active, tactical strategy. The underlying philosophy is that you can use the specific, immutable frequencies of the Earth, these specialized crystals, to act as an energetic buffer.
A buffer against the cosmic weather.
Exactly. The newsletter explicitly states the goal is to harness the fire horse's power without getting burned.
You aren't hiding from the horse, you're saddling it up.
Exactly. If the incoming cosmic energy is burning too hot and moving too erratically, you don't panic. You deploy a specific tool, perhaps a deeply dense grounding stone with an egg geometry, to provide stability to intentionally remediate that
So
frequency.
you're filtering it.
You act as a transformer, dialing down the voltage of the fire horse into a usable current that powers your personal transformation, rather than allowing it to short-circuit your auric field. It places the practitioner firmly back in the driver's seat of their own destiny.
It is a profoundly empowering architecture for moving through the world. So, pulling all of these threads together, we have journeyed through a highly complex, mechanically rigorous ecosystem today.
We really covered a lot of ground.
We started by examining the localized intake valves of the esoteric body, specifically how drawing energy through the receiving left hand utilizes tools like the Titan Crown Amethyst.
Right, the circuitry.
The circuitry. Then we explored the vital, non-negotiable hygiene of maintaining the etheric body through a four-step protocol of sweeping, smoking, and salting our auric fields. We decoded how the specific geometry of wands versus spheres dictates the physics of energetic application.
Form and function.
And finally, we scaled all the way up to the cosmos, exploring how practitioners use crystalline remediation to actively harness, rather than fear, massive systemic volatility, like the year of the fire horse.
It is a beautifully comprehensive system of operating in the world. And it leaves me with a final thought that I hope you, the listener, will sit with after we sign off.
Lay it on us.
Let us strip away the esoteric claims for a moment. Let's look purely at the psychological impact of Rob's methods. Consider the sheer cognitive weight of intentionally carving out time in an overwhelmingly noisy digital world to sit in silence.
Just to unplug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The act of holding a heavy, visually complex stone in your hand, utilizing the tactile sensation of a salt bath, and actively, vividly visualizing a golden light repairing your boundaries and sealing you off from external toxicity.
It's powerful. Building on that, I mean, it makes you wonder if modern cognitive behavioral therapy and ancient crystal rituals are actually just two totally different user interfaces running on the exact same psychological hardware.
That is a fascinating way to frame it.
Right. Whether you call it maintaining your etheric body or establishing healthy psychological boundaries, the mechanical outcome on the human nervous system might be identical. It provides a tactile, daily manual for actively changing the filter when the waters of life get murky, rather than just passively drowning in the debris.
Absolutely.
Well, that is all the time we have for today's session. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning the invisible architecture around you, and we will see you next time.